Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahanavavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu mavit vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 61 to 65 of chapter 2. Tani sarvani sanyamya Yukta asita matparaha Vashe hi yasyendriyani Tasya prajna pratisthita Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha Sangasteshu pajayate Sangat sanjayate kamaha Kamat krodho bhijayate Krodhat bhavati sammohaha Sammohat smriti vibhramaha Smriti bhramshat buddhi nashaha Buddhi nashat pranashyati Ragadvesha vimuktaistu Vishayanindriyaischaran Atmavasyairvidheyatma Prasadamadigacchati Prasade sarvadukhanam Hanirasyopajayate Prasannachetaso hyashu Buddhi buddhi paryavatishthate.
Buddhi paryavatishthate.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So last week we started verse number 63, which is the second half of the ladder of fall. The concept of ladder of fall is very, very useful for every sadhak, because if you know which way you have fallen, then you will automatically know which way to rise. As Albert Einstein, he said, every problem has a solution, and the solution lies within the problem itself. It's a very beautiful statement which he made. You know, when you're solving a problem in mathematics, some of the top mathematicians, what they say is that however complicated that problem may be, if you can penetrate and understand the problem in its entirety, then the solution will come to you easily. Without understanding the problem fully, when you try to solve it, that is where you will make mistakes. If the problem is very simple, then you may get away with that. So this is the difference between understanding the concepts, the principles, and just going for superficial solutions. See, today the whole life has become so superficial that solutions offered for tackling anger and other emotions have all become very, very superficial. So this ladder of fall, actually, it looks like he is talking about the problem. See, there is a difference between talking about your problem due to an attachment or due to negative thinking, and talking about a problem, that is penetrating and understanding what the problem is, which will immediately give you a solution. Actually speaking, you don't require any solutions in life. Nobody needs to come and tell you what the solution is. If you just understand that there is dirt here, let us say you have some dirt on your cheek. Now a guru comes and points out. He says there is a dirt, and then he gives a soap to you with which you can clean your face. Now that's it. Thereafter you know exactly what to do. This is the approach of the masters. They very clearly tell you what the problem is, and then they give you the tools for you to do sadhana and overcome the problem. The other approaches, without getting into the depth, without getting into a full understanding, just offering solutions, that may work temporarily, but in the long run, it will not work. Why I am mentioning this is because some time back I had told you, be solution oriented, not problem oriented. So this question may come to your mind, then why are we discussing the ladder of fall? Why has Krishna explain this in such great detail. So this is not being problem oriented. This is penetrating and breaking the problem, and the solution is automatically obtained. See, the problem is the sattvic approach and the tamasic approach, they both look alike. If you externally see a person who is caught up with a problem, he will always be talking about the problem. And if you go to a person who is a master, who is solution oriented, he will also try to make you penetrate and understand the problem. So externally, you may get confused, you may think it's one and the same thing, but there is a world of a difference. So in the first half of the ladder of fall, from where did he start? He started from dhyayato, casual thoughts, your thoughts, which go out of your control. And then attachment, it builds attachment. Then you get into kamaha, the uncontrolled desire. And then the various modifications like anger, fear, jealousy, greed, frustration, guilt, so many emotions. Up to that was one half. Now in the second half, he continues from there. He says, once you get into the modifications and you don't do anything about your modifications, then what happens? Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. So moha means loss of consciousness, loss of awareness. So whenever you allow an emotion to overpower you, slowly, you will start losing your awareness. You will not know what you're doing. A person who is who is caught up in a particular emotion, let it be fear or let it be anger or jealousy, whatever it is, if you carefully observe that person, he or she will not actually know what he is doing. This is a beautiful word which is using moha. So from the modification from anger is an example, that will lead to moha, loss of awareness. Spirituality is about being aware. The more your awareness, the more spiritual you are. Anything which you do in life which brings down your awareness is considered non-spiritual. Someone came and asked me, "Sir, what is wrong in drinking alcohol?" Now I explained to him, if you ask me what is wrong morally, there may be nothing wrong. We are not talking of morality or ethics here. But if you are a sadhak, now you're doing all the sadhana, whether it is yoga sankirtan, whether it is listening to these sessions here and absorbing the energy and wisdom, the advanced courses, in all that, what are we doing? We are building the awareness. We are raising the consciousness. Now when you take a substance like alcohol or drugs, now the moment you consume that, what happens is it brings down your awareness level. A person who is drunk is not at all aware. He thinks he is aware. There was a man who was telling me, "Sir, even when I have several pegs, I am very steady." I said, "That is not possible, Because the very nature of alcohol is, it is an intoxicant. So even little bit when you consume, to that extent, you will not be normal. He said, no sir, but in my case, it is different. I said, there is nothing like your case or anybody's case. That is the nature of an intoxicant. And I told him, best is you do one thing. You ask your wife to record next time when you drink. And then you see your own behavior. He did that. And then he came and showed it to me also. Sir, what you said was so correct. Because as soon as I took the first peg, within 10-15 minutes, he said I could see a big difference in my eyes. That is the very nature of an intoxicant. Similarly, an emotion, that is an emotion unchecked, an emotion which is uncontrolled, becomes like an intoxicant. When the same emotion is under your control, then that becomes a source of strength for you. See, the strength which you have is your emotions only. But the same emotions, when they go berserk, when they go totally out of your control, then they are no longer sources of strength. Rather, they become like intoxicants. Slowly, they rob you of all the energy. The awareness goes down. I told him that is why I keep telling people, if you're doing sadhana, actually it's you don't need to leave it. If you're truly connected to your guru, if you have true devotion towards your teacher, and if you're doing your sadhana, then automatically the addictions to any intoxicant will drop off. Somewhere down the line, if you keep hanging on to your ego and your problems, not willing to release, not willing to let go, that is when you create a block. So every time you take an intoxicant, your aura shrinks, your awareness comes down, you're devolving spiritually. That is why they are saying that avoid intoxicants. We are not talking of morality or ethics here. Morally or ethically, there is nothing right or wrong about all this. So similarly, the emotion, the modification of kama, any modification, when you don't do anything about it, it gets into a state of being an intoxicant. It acquires those qualities, those properties. That is what he means by moha, loss of consciousness. Why I am using the word intoxicant is, see, once you get addicted to an intoxicant, then even if you want to leave it, you will be unable to leave it. It is very interesting. Most of the people who are addicted, it's not that they don't want to leave it. They want to leave it, but they are unable to leave it because they become slaves to that particular intoxicant. Similarly, once you get into the moha stage, even if you want to drop that modification, that emotion, you will be unable to do it. That will start controlling you. So loss of consciousness, this is moha. The second dimension of moha is delusion. We have actually, I've translated it as delusion because all these dimensions cannot be put in a translation. It's very difficult. So I put it as delusion. That is one of the dimensions. So what is delusion? Delusion means whenever you move away from reality, whenever you move away from facts, that state is called delusion. If there is, let us say a person is standing on the side and there is a pillar in front of him and his shadow is falling on the right side, outside the pillar. You are able to see the shadow, but you are not able to see the person. It is in the night. Now the moment you see the shadow, you mistake it for a ghost. The moment you say it is a ghost, it causes a lot of panic, fear, and and as that man is moving behind the pillar, the shadow also moves, and every move confirms to you that this is a ghost, it's going to harm me. This is the stage of delusion. Why? Because reality is something else. It is only the shadow of a man standing there, but you are thinking it is a ghost. So when you are afflicted with moha, then you lose sight of a reality. This often happens when a boy and a girl meet and they fall in love. They call it love, but that is just, I'm talking of infatuation. In some cases I've seen that that has been very steady and true love has also been there. But in most cases it is just infatuation. And when a boy and girl get infatuated with each other, the most interesting part is it quickly leads to moha. And once they get into moha, even if the other person has some, let us say, negative qualities, which actually you may not like at all, but temporarily your whole mind gets clouded. You get into a state of delusion. There was a family from UK long back. The daughter and mother, they came and met me. And the daughter wanted to marry someone, but the mother was not for it. So then I asked the mother, why is it? Who your daughter likes, if you get her married to him, she'll be happy, Why do you have to say no? She said, no sir, he is not at all suitable for her. I said, on what basis are you saying that he is not suitable? So then she said, he does not have a job. Then I asked him, how does he survive? He says, she is only paying him. I asked her, is that true? She said, yes. They were from she was coming from a very rich family, business family. She said, yes, I only give him money. Okay, then before he met you, how was he surviving? He had another girlfriend. She used to take care of him. I said, Acha. Then what other reasons do you have? Then the mother said, he is a drug addict. I asked the daughter, is that true? She said, yes. And whatever money she is giving him, he goes and he buys drugs and every day he is only taking drugs. And the girl also nodded. And the most funny part is, the third reason, the mother said, he has several other girlfriends, and one of those girlfriends, what she told him is, you have to come and give me money. If you don't give me money, I will not be your girlfriend. So this boy is using my girl's money, a portion of that, he gives it to one of his other girlfriends in order to maintain relationship with her. And when I looked at the girl, she said yes. Now then I asked the girl, after all this, you still want to marry him? She said, yeah. I said, how come? She said, I don't know. I like him a lot. See, she used the word, I like him a lot. But actually it was not like. With this analysis, you will be able to spot it immediately, because she had passed the dhyato, sangha, that is attachment, the uncontrolled desire, modifications and all that. And now she had gotten into the state of moha, delusion. It was right in front of her, but she was unable to see it. I told the mother, right now I'm not going to give her any advice because it will not work. Let her just do some sadhana for a week. That much I asked the girl, can you do sadhana for a week? She said, will it help me? She asked me, will it help me to get married to him? I didn't say no, I didn't say yes. I said, let's see, just do sadhana for 1 week. The Yoga Sankirtan meditation, and I will also give you healing. Let's see what happens. The most interesting part is the 4th or 5th day, when she did sadhana on a daily basis, just 4 or 5 days it took. The 5th day, by herself she came to me and she said, sir, it's so clear to me. I didn't realize what I was getting into. My whole life will be ruined. So I asked her, what are you going to do? She said, I'm going to go and have a chat with him. I'm going to tell him, these are my conditions. You need to get out of drugs. You need to be completely committed to me. If all these you're prepared to do, I will think about it. That too, you will have to consistently do it and show it to me. Now all this I never told her. Her mother thought that I had called her and given her some special advice, and advice and all will not work. Counseling and advice. See, when a person is caught up in moha, when a person is completely deluded, what advice can you give that person? The awareness itself is gone. The consciousness has come down. So no point in giving advice. You will have to help the person do the sadhana, give the healing so that the consciousness is raised. Once the consciousness is raised, the most interesting part is the delusion goes away on its own. You see whatever is a reality. So wherever you're very strongly attached, and that's led to a moha, you will be deluded. You will not be able to see what is black and what is white. You cannot call a spade a spade. That is moha, moving away from reality. A classic example was Arjuna himself. He was in a deluded state. The first chapter we saw that. He tells Krishna, he asks him, how can you ask me to do this ghora karma, this terrible action of killing atatayana? Atatayana means terrorists, those who are very, very wicked, and he himself admits that they are wicked, that they are evil people. And then he is questioning Krishna, how can you ask me to kill them? That is the state of delusion. What is very interesting is, when we go to the 18th chapter, when Krishna gives everything, the entire wisdom, and then he tells Arjuna, whatever I have to tell, I have told you. Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. Do whatever you like. It's your ichcha now. Now Arjuna, having absorbed the wisdom, he tells Krishna, Nashto moha, means all my moha has been destroyed, Krishna. I've got back my memory, smriti. So this verse where he's saying that from the modifications you will get into moha, it is so relevant in the context of the Bhagavad Gita, because that is what happened to Arjuna, and having absorbed his wisdom, he comes out of the moha. Nashto moha means all my moha has gone. That is the only goal, if at all a teacher has a goal, that is the only goal. A guru does not want anything else. It is anything which he does. Sometimes he may be harsh, sometimes he may not respond, sometimes he may be externally very, very affectionate. Now, don't immediately think the teacher has some special attachment towards you. If he has any special attachment towards you, towards the student, then the guru is not a true guru. He views everyone equally, what each one requires in order to come out of that moha. That is what he keeps seeing. So, moha means delusion, the second dimension. The third dimension of moha. Moha means ignorance. See, once you get into a state of moha, it means you become ignorant in the sense, see, when you lose sight of a reality, you are in a state of ignorance, number one. Number two, that prevents you from gaining any further knowledge or wisdom. This is something which you need to understand. Okay, I am ignorant, then I will gain knowledge and I get a solution. But in the case of moha, it is not like that. Number one, I am ignorant, and number two, there is a block. It doesn't allow me to get any further knowledge. That is why I said, when a person is in moha, any amount of advice or counseling will not work. Many people have asked me, so do you do counseling? I say no. Rather, I say I attend these discourses, do the sadhana, and then we'll see after a while. Because unless and until the person comes out of moha, it is not possible for that person to absorb the wisdom. A master does not give just plain advices. No, he works on removing that moha. He goes on giving the healing shakti. That's what Krishna was doing to Arjuna. On one hand, he was talking to him, but behind that talk was the energy transfer which was happening. So the healing which he was giving to Arjuna plus whatever wisdom which he was giving, both put together, it brought Arjuna out of the delusion. See, otherwise, mere knowledge, if you just take mere knowledge, I know people who have extraordinary scriptural knowledge. You ask them from any scripture, any Veda, any Bhagavad Gita, this chapter, this verse, or whatever it is, they'll immediately be able to tell you and the verse and the meaning also. But when you look into their minds, they are still very much deluded. Adi Shankara, he says, externally you may be a great guru, in quotes he puts it. You may be a person who has a huge following. You may be going around the world and giving great lectures. But all these things do not make you spiritual, he says. You may still be in a deluded state. Some of the greatest masters, they were never known. They had no following. That is another delusion. That is another ignorance, See, people today have started equating spirituality with the number of followers. How foolish it is. That means the Upanishadic masters are not masters, is it? Because they had no followers. Even that one student who used to approach the Upanishadic master. Now what the master used to do is teach him and then send him away. Now you go. Leave me in solitude. So everywhere this moha has taken over today, and it has also taken over spirituality. What is not spiritual, people consider as spiritual. That is delusion and ignorance. See, if you take the world, the wealth, for example, what is the utility of wealth? Wealth helps you to lead a comfortable life, to fulfill certain duties. That's it. This is the reality. There is nothing more to it. But if you are in a state of moha, you will think wealth per se will give you happiness. When you earn a lot of wealth and when you enter a party, all the people will come and they'll greet you and they'll give you so much of respect. Actually, they are respecting your wealth, not you. If you are in moha, delusion, ignorance, you will think that they are respecting you. The day the wealth goes away from you, they will also go away. And they will gravitate towards another person who has wealth. A yogi has a very, very clear understanding of what life is. When you get name and fame, something which you do, people come and appreciate you. They are actually not giving respect to you. They are giving respect to that thing which you did, due to which you become famous. The day you stop doing that, all the fame, the attention which you are getting will go away. Many celebrities, when they cross a certain age where they are unable to, where they retire, they lead a very lonely life, and so much of stress their mind goes through, because they have faced a lot of attention, name and fame when they were at their peak. And suddenly all that is taken away. They are unable to come to terms with reality. So when a person is coming and appreciating you, is he really interested in you, or your wealth, or your name, or your fame? What is he interested in? If you are in moha, you will not understand anything. When it comes to relationships, a person who is truly interested in your welfare, sometimes what he or she says may be a little unpalatable, because they will not feed your ego. A person who comes and feeds your ego, if you are under delusion, you will think that person is so nice to me, he is only thinking of my welfare. You form relationships just based on your whims and fancies, on your likes and dislikes, with no reference to what is good for you. It's not only relationships, everything in life is like that only. If you take fast food, junk food, they use artificial taste enhancers to attract you. Immediately you go and you start eating. Healthy food, you lose the taste for it. It may not be so jazzy and attractive like how they present these processed foods, If you are in delusion, you will pick up that. But if you have some depth, you will pick up what is good for you. If you understand this moha, that will give you so much of clarity. Actually, in the very process of understanding what moha is, you will come out of moha. Because a person who is in moha cannot understand what moha is. If you have begun to understand what moha is right now, it means you have started coming out of it. Right now, if you're there in front of me, if I ask you, do you all understand? I think all of you will say yes. It's a fact. Then when it comes to spirituality, what is spirituality? Is it in the dress which you're wearing? Is it in the lifestyle which you're living? No, not all these. Supposing instead of this white kurta, now if I wear a t-shirt, is it going to make this person any less spiritual? So if you go to a person and say that, oh, he is a great saint, he is a master. Why? Based on the dress he is wearing, then you are in moha. So the people think spirituality means a particular color dress, a particular kind of dress they should wear. Spirituality means, so many do's and don'ts they have. These things are spiritual. Only if if a person goes to a temple every day, he is spiritual. Not necessarily. A person can be connected every day. He may be doing his sadhana and getting connected with the infinite, but you will not recognize that unless and until you get out of moha. True spirituality is in raising of consciousness. How much is that person connected with that infinite? Not in the dress which you wear, not in the, a person is able to quote all the scriptures, is able to chant very well. Is that all a reason why that person is spiritual? No. So all the yardsticks which you use today to measure various things in the world, including spirituality, you will have to examine those yardsticks, because they are all coming from moha, delusion. Ignorance. So as you gain this wisdom along with the energy in the yogic approach, your ignorance goes away. Again, when I say your ignorance goes away, it is not by gaining mere information outside. That is not the type of ignorance we are talking about. The ignorance we are talking about is the feeling and the very source of your thought process. That will start changing. Your very perception about life will start changing. So that is the third dimension of moha. Then the fourth dimension of moha is infatuation. When a person is in moha, he or she will be very much infatuated. Whenever you are infatuated with a person or with an object, that state is called moha. So it is very much related to the laws of consciousness. They both go together. Actually, all these dimensions go together. If you pick up one and if you overcome one dimension, you would overcome all the other dimensions also. So why is it that you get infatuated with anything or anyone? When you lose your consciousness awareness. And the converse is also true. Why is it that you lose your awareness? When you get infatuated. They are like, two pedals of a wheel. Except that the wheel is supposed to take you forward, this will take you backward. Infatuation means when you have extra value for something, that is called infatuation. See, you should have the right value for everything in life. As I told you, a person who gets infatuated with wealth, why is he getting infatuated? Because he has that extra value for wealth. He believes that wealth will give him everything. Whereas having the right value of wealth is very useful for me to function practically in life, for me to have 3 meals a day and then do all my duties. Up to this is the right value. But more than that, when you place value on an object where you're not supposed to place, that is when you develop infatuation, moha. In every aspect of life, wherever you are infatuated, you are in a state of moha. If you have bought a new car, it's a wonderful feeling. Now you sit in the car and that's going to take you everywhere. It's a comfortable ride you have. This is the right value. But if you're going to develop a superiority complex over that, if you place extra value, now you will develop superiority complex that will go totally out of control. You will start becoming arrogant to people. You will start showing off, Then that is infatuation, moha. So most people, they call, even with respect to relationships, they confuse between infatuation and true love. True love is accepting and loving the other person as he or she is. Even though you're able to see the negativities in that person, you're able to still accept that person wholeheartedly and still love that person. That is true love. Infatuation is when you're unable to see the negative quality in the other person, and whatever positive quality you're seeing is an exaggerated projection of your mind. You're not able to see the other person as he or she is. That state is called infatuation. A typical example is, when you become a fan of some celebrity. Now, what is the meaning of fan? Fan is a shortened version of fanatic. In Tamil language, they translate it as visiri. That's a very funny translation. They have taken this fan to be literally the fan, which we use in our house, in our homes for getting some breeze. So they've used the word visiri. Of course, now that is commonly used by people, but actually it is a wrong translation. So what is the meaning of fan? Fan means you have become fanatic. Now that is what is a very meaning of fan, the root meaning. Now I know people who become such fanatics about some personality who's famous. It could be an actor, it could be a sports person, anybody in any field, a person who's famous. Now, once you become fanatic about the person, then they start imitating that person. That is what is a stage of infatuation. Whatever that person does and mannerisms and all that, you also start imitating that. Then you lose your individuality. You lose your personality completely. You have to be very careful, especially youngsters. That doesn't mean for non-youngsters, elderly people, this is not applicable. It's applicable for everyone. But especially youngsters, because there is a tendency today to idolize somebody who is famous in a particular field. As long as you appreciate a person's achievement, it is fine. Up to that stage, it is a right value. But the moment it crosses the stage of appreciation and you become fanatic about that person, thereafter, everything that person will do, you will start blindly copying. If that person has long hair, you will also have long hair. The person has short hair, you will also have short hair. Suddenly that person will come, he will shave off the whole head and just have one streak of hair in the center of the head. Immediately all the fans also will roam around with the same hairstyle. That actually reduces your potential. Then you are no longer yourself. And in spirituality we say, one of the deep principles of spirituality, which is a simple principle, is you have to be yourself. So when you go to a master, he never tells you, he never will ask you to follow him. He will say, follow whatever he's saying. So you should never try and copy a master. You should do what he says, not what he does. Because what he does is according to his lifestyle. Even in spirituality that happens. When a master wears a particular dress, now all the disciples also, the system itself is created where everybody wears the same dress. How is it possible? How can growth be there? A natural growth will never be there. Actually, it becomes a stifling of one's personality. A master comes into your life to free you of all your limitations. If incidentally you like the dress which the master is wearing, that suits you, and then if you are doing it consciously, that is different. But there is a blind following. That is called infatuation. So a celebrity, supposing he smokes, all the followers also smoke. Why? Because they are infatuated. If a celebrity does something, some other thing which is negative, everybody follows that. And the third chapter he says, Yadyada charati shrestha tattat itara janaha. Whatever a leader does, so will the followers do. Why? Because the followers have the tendency to get infatuated. And it is also a caution for the leaders which he gives. Wherever you are leading, see, in your family you may be a leader, you may be leading your children also. It is, ensure that your conduct is good so that your followers will pick that up, because they have the tendency to pick whatever you are portraying. That is moha, infatuation. And then the next dimension of moha is mistake. When you are in moha, you will start committing a series of mistakes. All your, whether your decision making, your actions, everything which you're doing will not really be to your benefit. That's why I gave you that example of that girl. No, she was infatuated with that boy, and he was a drug addict, and he was having several other girlfriends. He was using this money to go to another girl. All these things were there, but yet she was saying, I want to marry. The moment she did a little bit of sadhana, she overcame that moha. Then she said, I was about to make a mistake. So when you're committing a mistake here means something which is harmful to you in the long run. When you do something which is harmful to you, that is called a mistake. We are not talking about manual errors and all that. No. Something when you choose in life which can cause a problem to you. So when you're in moha, your decision making will not be okay. When we come to the buddhi aspect, I'll explain that in greater detail. Your clarity will not be there. Everything will be clouded. So naturally you're going to do things which are not good for you. It's a very, very powerful dimension of moha, which every sadhak should understand. So that is why in very, very important matters, you should always take wise counsel of wise people in that field. I know people who are self-doctors. A person has studied, he is a specialist in that field. You should not learn to respect each one for his or her field. If you're constructing a house, a structural engineer plays a key role in deciding where the beams have to be there and what dimension of rod should be used where. A person who is under him, let us say a mason, his role is different. But just because he has been doing that work for 30, 40 years, sometimes I've seen masons telling people that I know how to build a house. He may know his job, but still the principle behind it only a structural engineer will know. So he has a role, the mason has a role. So but if he does that, he'll make a mistake. How many people I know, in order to save money, they don't go to a structural engineer. They just go along, they go by whatever this person says, and then later on they regret when issues start surfacing. So series of mistakes, you'll start making a series of mistakes because of wrong decision making. That is moha. And then one more dimension which a sadhak should understand is moha also means pain. This is one of the most difficult dimensions to understand, because when you're in moha, you will be going through pain, but you would have got acclimatized to that pain so much that it will be very difficult for you to realize that. It is only when you come out of the moha a little bit, my God, what is it that I went through? Like this person who was an alcoholic, when I asked him to ask his wife to record whenever he was drinking, he came and told me, he said, sir, my wife started recording, and sometimes when I used to drink a lot, my behavior when I saw, I felt so ashamed, is it me? Now the question is, it's not that he does not have clarity, but why is he not realizing that at that time? Because he was under the influence of alcohol. So when you are under the influence of moha, the pain which you go through also you don't recognize. You become impervious or acclimatized to the pain. Just as when a person who is not clean, after a while he becomes so used to that unhygienic environment. And if you go and tell him, listen, you have to be clean, he will say, what is your problem? Everything is fine only. But the same person, once he learns this quality of cleanliness and once he gets used to that lifestyle, then he'll not be able to go back to the old lifestyle. Actually, when he sees that, he'll say, my God, I can't believe how how I lived in this kind of a situation. I have known many people who have said that. So, when you are at the modification stage, that modification will be causing pain to you and you will still be aware of that. But when you come to the moha stage, you will get acclimatized to pain. And you will get into a delusion that everything is normal. The most ignorant person feels he is knowledgeable. In the Zen Buddhism, there is a beautiful saying. The master says, before you come to Zen means it has come from the word dhyan. Dhyan means meditation. So it is before you come to Zen, it is before you come to spirituality. Mountains are like mountains, rivers are like rivers, trees are like trees. Everything seems very clear to you. But when you start practicing spirituality, when you do the sadhana, there he uses the word Zen. When you start practicing Zen, it is mountains look like rivers, rivers look like mountains, trees look like something else, There is a state of confusion you get into. But then, once you reach enlightenment, he says, again mountains look like mountains, trees look like trees, rivers look like rivers. Very, very clear. Now I know what your question will be. Then why do you need to go through all the sadhana? Starting point is also same, ending point is also same. It looks same. It's a very, very deep statement this master is making. So when a person is totally ignorant, he feels everything is fine. You go and talk to an alcoholic, he will say, no, I am not an addict. Anytime I want, I can leave it. This is how they will talk, So mountains will be like mountains, trees will be like trees. It's a sarcastic way of saying. When you are in ignorance, you think that you have the knowledge. But when you start doing the sadhana, he says you will get into a state of confusion, a temporary state of confusion. You will not be sure about things. That is not a sign of ignorance. That is a sign of wisdom. It means you have started exploring. Only two kinds of people will be very emphatic. Either highly ignorant people, they will be extremely emphatic about their views, or people with real wisdom, they will also be emphatic. In the first case, it is an egoistic assertion, whereas in the second case, that person is asserting, he is being emphatic because of wisdom. Person who is trying to become wise, there will be that confusion. That's why he says, trees, the mountains will look like rivers and rivers will look like mountains. It's poetry. In a poetic way, the master has given this principle. So when you get used to ignorance, when you get used to pain, when you get used to everything, that is a very dangerous sign, because you will stop looking for solutions. You feel everything is fine. So a master in such a case comes and tries to shake the person up. It's like, if you're having some underlying disease, let us say you have some very, very terrible infection in your stomach, and so you're vomiting. You just take a pill which stops off just the vomiting, but the infection is still remaining inside, and you're feeling very happy. Everything is normal. A true doctor will say nothing is normal, the infection is still there. So how do we need to tackle that? That is what he means by pain. Because if a person is in pain and if he is recognizing that, then he will start putting in efforts to come out of the pain. But when you're in moha, you stop putting in all efforts to come out, in spite of being in pain. Why? Because you get acclimatized to negativity. The negative life becomes normal for such a person. That is the state of moha. So I have given you 6 dimensions, more than enough. Whatever inspires you, all 6 inspire you, fantastic, But even if 1 or 2 dimensions inspire you, you start thinking on those lines, the very process of understanding moha will lift your consciousness, will get you out of moha. Supposing a person comes to you and he tells you that he is mad, what will be your advice to him? And he asks you how to get out of this madness. You will tell him, you are not mad. Because a person who is mad will not know that he is mad. To the extent you are mad, to that extent you will not be aware of your madness. The moment you start becoming aware of your madness, it means you are getting cured. You are coming out of madness. So it's the same thing. The moment you start experientially gaining the wisdom of moha, then it means to that extent, you have come out of moha. That is why, penetrating into this word moha, these 6 dimensions which I have given you, will be very, very useful for all the sadhaks. And then he says, sammoha, intense moha. So, krodhat bhavati sammoha. Last week I explained to you the significance of the word bhavati, where you become the emotion. You and the emotion, unite, as it were. So one thing is to say, I have anger. But the other thing is, you and anger become one. You become a manifestation of anger. You become a personification of anger or any other negative emotion. That stage is called moha. There is a beautiful story where a saint was having a bath in the river. And then he is a so-called saint. He was not a true saint because he had that feeling of caste and all that. Whenever you feel that there is one person is higher caste, another person is lower caste, and all, that person is not spiritual, So this saint actually had those kind of superiority complexes and all that. So when he came out, another person, so-called person from a lower caste, he by accidentally touched him. And when he touched him, the saint got very angry because, this is another superstitious belief which people have, that, when you have a bath, then in Tamil they say tita. Tita means no other person who has not had a bath should not touch. And then the moment they touch, then this sin, they accrue a sin. They go and have a bath again. These are all very, very superstitious beliefs which people have. So this so-called saint was caught up in all these beliefs. So when that person accidentally touched him, he got very angry. I have to do my worship and all that, for which I have had a bath, I purified myself and I came. You have touched me and you have made me impure. He said, no sir, but I have also had a bath. I have had a bath and so. He said, no, it is not that. You belong to a lower caste. And whenever a lower caste person touches me, then I will become impure. So this kind of an argument started. And then the saint got so angry. The anger started building in him so much. It's the same thing, the modification, And then he went into a state of moha. He started hitting that other person. And that person said, sir, please don't hit me, it's paining. And after all the anger got exhausted, then the saint, came back to his senses. He said, my God, being a spiritual, being in the field of spirituality, how violent I had become. I was in ignorance. So he said, I'm very sorry. To which the man said, that is okay. So then the saint said, anyway, you have touched me, I have become impure, so I have to go and again purify myself. So he went back to the river and had a bath again, and he came out. So after he came out, the other person, he also went to the river to have a bath. So to which the master asked him, why are you having a bath now? He said, sir, why did you have a bath? Because I was touched by you. I was touched by a person who belongs to a lower caste. So I have become impure. That is why I had a bath. Now why are you having a bath? To which this man said, sir, I was beaten by a person who is lower than the lowest caste. That is why I am going to have a bath. Immediately the saint again got angry. But this time he was a little cautious. He said, what do you mean? How can you call me lower than the lowest caste? To which the man said, no, sir, I don't mean you, because you didn't hit me. It was your anger which hit me. When you became angry, after a while, that anger possessed you and you were no longer yourself. You have studied all your scriptures, you have meditated for so many years, you have done worship, this, that, all the tapas. Everything went away and you became a personification of anger. And that anger is, that person called anger, it's poetically said, that person is what I am referring to as a person who is lower than the lowest caste. So I have been touched by anger. I have been beaten up by anger, not by you, because you per se, you are a very sweet person. But when anger took over you, you became one with that, then you were no longer yourself. That is why I have to purify myself. Actually, that person was a realized soul. He was an enlightened being, And this so-called saint who considered himself belonging to a superior caste and all that, he was still in ignorance. And the moment he recognized the greatness of that person, he fell at his feet. He said, Master, can you be my guru? He said, yes, that is why I have come to you. Because you come up to a certain level and you've got stuck there. Now I have come to liberate you from that level so that you can achieve moksha. And if you want to achieve moksha, you should drop off all these concepts of high, low and all these things. It's a beautiful story which illustrates this point. So whenever you are consumed by an emotion, you become one with that emotion, bhavati. So whenever you are at the modification stage, handle that emotion. Various tips I have given you. Use those tips to handle that. If not, you will get into the bhavati stage. And in Bhavati stage, you will not know what you're doing. It's like a cycle. So, from anger, that is from the modifications, Bhavati Sammoha becomes delusion. The deeper meaning is you become one with the emotion, and that stage is called Moha. And then from Moha arises confusion of memory. That and the rest we will see next week, because today we saw 6 dimensions of Moha, and then I even gave you the story. That story is a beautiful story. You can think about it. How when you get controlled by an emotion, slowly your nature gets subdued and that emotion takes over you completely. I'm making you visualize also as I'm saying, so that you begin to get an experiential understanding of this, and the more you're able to see this, the more you would have detached yourself from that emotion. You will come out of it. Whenever you see somebody getting angry or somebody who's fearful, don't immediately judge them, but read these verses. This is what is happening to that person. See, this will help you to understand yourself better. This will also help you to understand others better. So when a person is shouting in anger, he is not doing it consciously. He is actually suffering from this disease of moha. So you start pitying that person. Pitying, I'm putting it in a positive way here. Why is it that Buddha developed compassion toward the entire humanity? Is it that whole humanity became so pure? No. With all the impurity around, he was so compassionate. Why? Because he was able to see that everyone was afflicted with these kinds of mental diseases. I'm deliberately using the word mental diseases just to bring in a deeper understanding. Okay? So before we do the meditation, just I have a couple of announcements, and I will just answer one or two questions. The first question is, I'm taking up the question by Prakash ji. He has put it in the YouTube comments. He has asked when we were told to create a distance between you and the emotion, what is that you? That part slowly I will answer, because that cannot be answered at one go. It is not the intellect. It is actually, the answer is actually consciousness. But as we go along and when I make you practice various meditations, it will become clear to you. But I want to answer one more thing, even though that is not a question, but I want to say something here, where you mentioned that Yogishri, last month, as advised by you, every week I wrote down my life experiences, right from my childhood till this date. While doing this exercise, it became very clear that I was using the intellect to pull out the memories registered in my deeper mind. So during this process, only 3 faculties are involved: my body, mind and intellect. Now today I received the message to create a distance between you and the emotion. So what is that you? This is how he has asked this question. So what is that you? I'll answer. That is not an intellectual question. You can't give an intellectual answer to that. We'll see that. But this point about writing down the life experiences and all that, I never said write down your life experiences right from birth till now. The whole idea is to get out of all this. That was said in the context of finding your swadharma, your own nature. Somebody had asked, how to find my swadharma? What are my skills? To which I said, spend some time, probably 2-3 times, you just sit and think, what are my skills? So right from young age, what have been my interests? What have I been good at? And then when you compare those sheets, you will get a fair idea of what your swadharma, what your talents are. That's all I said. That exercise will not take a long time. It will hardly take 10 minutes, maximum I'm saying 10 or 15 minutes, just to see, right from young age I had this talent of singing, for example, or I was very, very interested in, sometimes the puzzle games. Some children are very interested in puzzle games. Certain other children are interested in other types of games. That shows one skill and talent, So I was interested in solving puzzles. So, which means you have to take up a field which is related to analysis and all that. So, if there is a consistent liking throughout your childhood till now, then you should consider that as a factor when you're determining your swadharma, that is your nature. That's all I said. I never said write down your life experiences, your life history now and all that. Please don't do that. That will actually not help you, because you will get so involved with yourself. You will get into a moha. You have to be careful. It is my duty to say this, and this is a message for everyone. Actually, you will grow spiritually when you drop off all your stories. Stories means your experiences. So by doing this process, you are only creating more and more karmas by running through your life again and again. That is a different sadhana, that is called pratiprasav sadhana. At the advanced level, I will take that, where you go to the past, give healing to the past and burn off the karmas. That is a different advanced sadhana which the Siddhas and Yogis had given. So I never ever said write down your life experiences and all that. All I said was locate what your talents have been, what your interests have been right from young age in a general way. That's all. I didn't mean to say go running through your entire life history, sitting and doing it consciously. So if you've done it already, okay, that's okay. So please tear all that and throw it away and start focusing on the sadhana. This is very important. Then there are a couple of announcements which I have regarding the 22-day program. One is Anushka ji has asked a question. Of course, she has said that she has been practicing the morning and evening preparatory meditation, and she said it's been so wonderful, tremendous experiences she has been having. Literally all the cells are filled with the energy. So she has asked whether we can have a specific goal of health in mind while doing this. So not required. You write down your goals separately. All that I will be giving you training during the 22-day program, because in case you make a mistake there unnecessarily, that will get imprinted in the subconscious mind. So let's not get into all that now. Just do whatever I've given you. That is more than enough. It will prepare you to receive the higher grace during the advanced course. Okay? The other announcement regarding the 22-day program is I've got a lot of messages from the higher to give you more. So originally we had planned 2 hours every day. So I'm going to increase it a little bit. That is maximum of 2.5 hours. So it can vary between 2 and 2.5 hours depending upon that day's meditation session. See, other things we can time, but meditation alone, the empowerment sessions, I don't want to time them, because sometimes when you're receiving more, if we just cut the flow of energy, that is not okay, you know. So you can be prepared for maximum of 2.5 hours. That will be the maximum. Minimum of 2 hours. So on a day-to-day basis, depending on how everyone is receiving, as I take the session, as I give the empowerment, that time will vary. I wanted to tell you this so that you plan out your schedule accordingly, and if required, we can even advance the timing by half an hour. That announcement I'll make once it is confirmed. But this is something which I got in the meditation, because all of you who have registered, I scanned the energy and I could see that you're all very, very sincere sadhaks. So you need to be given more, and whatever is going to be given will be like such a blast. It will prepare you for the future more and more advanced programs, advanced sadhanas which we are going to have. The other announcement is regarding the lectures, which are there in YouTube. Many people have asked whether the past lectures can be put up in YouTube. So we are working on that. So the announcement is, whatever lectures were done once we started the online version, all that from now on will be kept in the YouTube. That is, few months back we restarted, starting from there. Even what we did before that, that is a 10-day healing program, and then the inner strength series, that will be kept permanently. Apart from that, when we restarted the Sthita Prajna and whatever we have done till now, every week, that will be kept in YouTube. So any time you want to revisit, a particular session was very inspiring, you want to listen to it again, you can do that. And they have created a playlist, and they called the Bhagavad Gita, the Manual of Life. So under that, all those videos will be available. The videos prior to that, which were recorded earlier, that also we are working on that. Once they are ready, they will also be available for public use. What I mean by ready is that I gave to specific audience who had come. So there are certain things which may not be universally applicable. So those things, some editing is required. And secondly, whenever I ask them to release any video or audio, I specially sit and energize them so that you get the full benefit as if you're listening to it live. Even these sessions, the recorded ones also, every time you see that, you will receive the energy also. I'm sure you would have experienced that already. Okay? So now we'll have meditation. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. With every breath, my consciousness is rising. With every breath, I am becoming more and more divine. I am not this body. I am not this mind with various emotions and thoughts. I am one with that infinite being. From this moment onwards, I choose to go through the various experiences of life in a completely detached and objective way. I withdraw my consciousness from the lower and I am attuned to the infinite consciousness, which is completely free of all the delusion, all the moha. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers and toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head, and slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today we had a very powerful session, and during the meditation also I had directly taken you, just lifted your consciousness up. The way to overcome moha is to rise above it. And what is beyond everything is that infinite. Many of you have been putting in your comments that these meditations are so deep. You're finding it difficult to come back. I understand that. But if you think that these are deep, the 22-day program, what I'm going to give you is something much, much more. It's going to be very, very deep. So all these are also part of the preparation which I'm doing. So reflect on these points, and it is not a question of artificially practicing it, but it is aimed towards creating a transformation within you by changing your very perception of how you look at life. So that is why when many people had put forward this request about wanting the past sessions, I did a little meditation on that. See, I don't consciously decide. Whatever higher instructions I get in my meditation, that's what I follow, I execute them. So I could see the sincerity of the sadhaks, and that is why this will be opened up for you to, benefit. And once you see whatever regular thing which we are doing every week, that schedule, don't leave it. But I'm saying after that, if you want to revisit any of the past things, you can feel free to do so. And anything which you put in play that's going to lift your consciousness only. It's all your connection that matters, So some of you some people wanted the story of Vishwamitra. They said they will feel like listening to it again and again. Some people wanted the last 2 sessions. So I leave all that to you. Everything will be opened up for you. So I'm sure all of you who've been wanting this now will feel very happy about this. And if you're all happy, that makes me also happy. Okay? So thank you very much. We'll meet next week. Thank you.